How are you guys? So I'm squashed in the back of the car at the moment. It's got a little bit of a plan for a sort of a minor problem that we've had with the fridge from our last couple of trips where it was really hot. We have found that the Evercool fridge does struggle ever so slightly when inside the car is really hot and the compressor basically just can't get rid of that heat. And we find that the fridge does struggle to hold the exact temperature that we've got it set at on the dial. As you might know, we've got the Evercool 40-litre drawer fridge. It's been an awesome fridge. It's just in those really high temperatures that the fridge does tend to struggle. And we didn't notice at first. Up in Queensland with the real humid heat, we did find that it did have one over temp and shut itself off. We only really keep drinks in there. It didn't shut itself off for long enough for the drinks to go warm or anything like that. We did just crack the windows a little bit and let some of that heat escape out of the car, and then the fridge did continue on as normal. On a recent trip, it was quite hot. You know, we had 30-35 degree days back to back where the car is sitting there, and the car does get quite hot inside with the windows up. We do tend to leave the windows cracked a little bit now, which does help. But if you're familiar with our setup, we've got our drawer fridge basically enclosed in the back drawers here. We do have some vent holes. I'm not sure if you can see that, but the fridge is in here, and we do have some vent holes hole sawed into the back of the drawer system, which does make a good difference. But I want to take it that one step further and add some cooling fans to the setup. They do recommend that you use a cooling fan for the back compressor on the fridge. So we've gone with 120mm computer fans. These are ultra quiet fans, which is probably the main thing. You don't want to hear these buzzing away in the back of the car. And then we've got a very basic, something that hopefully can't fail and will last a little while, a manual temperature gauge. So this little temperature sensor can sit in the fins of the compressor on the back of the fridge, and you just set the temperature. So I'm not sure if you can hear that, but it's very basic: power in, power out, and then you earth your fans to the battery, which will go through the shunt so we can measure all the power usage as well. Very simple setup. I think we're just going to work out where to position everything. We've got a little bit of room down there. I did want to try and suck and blow with the fans, but I think what I'm going to end up doing is blowing both directly onto the back of the compressor. I'm going to keep it simple. I'm a bit skeptical as to whether it's going to work or if I'm going to need to reposition the fans. So we'll start with this setup and we'll go from there. We're going to try and keep it fairly simple. I've got a 127mm hole saw, which is perfect size for the 120mm fan, so that gives us some good clearance for the blades and still allows us to attach the fans through the mounting holes on each corner. So I'm going to start off this side. The compressor is on this side of the fridge, so I'm not sure if you can see that, but we've got 3 holes along here. I'm going to start with the first fan, just offset it. I know I've got plenty of room in there. I'm going to go through about here, and then the next fan I'm going to put here, and I'm going to actually probably blow the air in, because the cabin air inside the car I know is going to be a lot cooler, especially if it's hot outside. If we've got aircon or whatever we're doing, the cabin air is going to be a lot cooler in this bigger area than it is in that small area where the compressor has heated up the air already. So I think for now I'm going to try the first stage of this process is blowing 2 fans in directly at the compressor. As long as there's air flowing over those fins on the compressor, I think that'll make a big difference. So we'll start off, we'll get the hole saw out, and we'll do a hole saw and see how we go. All right, so just as a really quick demonstration, the fan is a 3-wire fan. So you've got a positive, a negative, and then a thermal wire, which is just the computer telling the fan how fast or slow to spin normally. So what I've done is I've chopped that existing plug off. We've got the 3 wires. We've got positive coming from the battery into the thermostat switch and then out to the fan. And then we've got a earth on the battery as well, which stays on there. So basically when we have this thermostat set, I know that 0 is up here, and we're about 20, maybe 25 degrees in here at the moment. So you can hear that. That's the switching side. So that's on, that's off. And if I set that just above what the temperature is now, I've got a little tub of hot water here. I can put that sensor in the hot water, and then once that sensor reaches the desired temperature, it should turn on just like it does there. And then back out. Once it cools down, that's still a little bit warm in there, but that should turn off in a sec. So that all is working perfectly fine. I'm happy with that. I just wanted to make sure that that switch does what we need it to do. All right, we managed to get through there. You can see that hole saw there. We've managed to get that out, so that should be all good. All right, I've got them all bolted up. Pretty straightforward, nothing pretty. I wasn't trying to make the world's best wiring job or install or anything like that. It's more of a quick fix just to see if this works, if it makes a difference. And then I can work out if I want to improve on it or if I want to change anything down the track. Without giving me too much critique on my wiring or install, it's very quick, but you can see here, we've got the gauge in the middle, the dial to adjust the temperature where the fans come on and off. I'm going to muck around with the temperature on that one. And then we've got the 2 hole saws cut out with the fans there, all mounted behind our electrical system here. This sort of all sits back. It'll be interesting to see over the course of, a couple of days. We've got a couple of warm days coming up in Adelaide and, high 30s. I'll muck around with the temperature on here and see how hot it really does get in there. I'm going to assume it does get fairly hot. So I'll finish off this wiring. I'll put everything back together, and then we'll muck around with the temperature setting, and we'll see how we go. We were going to run it off the fridge circuit, but I had a spare holder in the fuse holder here, so I thought I might as well give it its own little circuit there as well. And then I know if something happens with the fans, it's directly related to the fans and not the fridge. All right, so I'm not sure if you can see little fans. It's actually turned out pretty stealthy, sort of tucked away underneath there. This is all obviously behind the seats in the Patrol as well. So we'll just chuck this in there, the fuse in there now. And you can see those fans turn on. Alright, I've got the fridge and the fans running at the moment, and I'll show you the Renogy battery monitor on what it's pulling amp-wise. So we're balancing right on 4 amps. We've got the fridge on 6, and it's set on 3, so it is struggling now. It's about 30 degrees today, so I've had the car all closed up, and I've also had the fridge open probably for about 10 minutes, give or take, just to get that fridge working and that temperature up. But normally we're drawing about 3.7 amps when that fridge is running, and we're just touching on 3.94 amps. So I think that's really good. It should work effectively, and the fridge should stay off for longer. Cool, all done and installed. Really happy with how it's turned out. Tried to keep it as simple as possible. Try not to make it complicated or anything. So the install looks really good. You can see the fans there. This is obviously under the back seat in the back of the Patrol as well. So everything's hidden, everything's out of sight. Everything looks nice and neat, as you can see. I've had those fans cycle on and off a few times now, and I'm happy that they're coming on at the right temperature. It's probably going to be something I'll muck around with for the foreseeable future. But overall, I think that was a really simple install. Really good idea if you're having heating issues with your fridge. It might not be an overly common issue because that fridge is enclosed in the box of the drawer system. If that was an open space, then you obviously wouldn't have as much trouble. But for me, I think that's going to be a big help. I think it's going to make a big difference. So I'm pretty keen to see what it does in the future with the fridge and how it runs. I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Just a messy, quick one. Nothing special, just a little thing that I was doing, and I thought I'd film it just in case anyone else has a similar sort of issue in the future that I did, and hopefully it helps some people. I'll put a link down below to the fridge we got, to the fans I got, and also that little temperature dial as well. So that little temperature dial was real simple and quite easy to install. So I'll put a link below with those things, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We have lots of random little videos and a heap of holiday videos as well. Hopefully you enjoy them, guys. Thanks. Bye.